Good afternoon, guys. I hope you're doing well. This is going to be a quick update of why I think GrapheneOS is probably the best Android system that you should be running. And if you're kind of hesitant to why you should be running it, maybe you should watch this video until the end. It's not going to be really in-depth, long, or technical. There's going to be no flashy editing. And I just want to get straight to the point. GrapheneOS is probably the best option we have when it comes to the Android ecosystem. They fix a lot of security vulnerabilities and patches stuff that Google won't and or hasn't, and on top of it, other vendors won't and or don't. So I think they take security and privacy very serious. And if you're thinking about why not do it and why you shouldn't, maybe you should just go look at the track record of these other vendors and Google themselves. This isn't a hate Google, hate other vendors. I understand this is just a common problem in the Android ecosystem, and it should be addressed and it should be fixed, but I digress. In the recent update in 202.60.50.900, they had some fix for upstream Broadcom Wi-Fi driver memory corruption bugs to avoid invalid memory access caught by the kernel hardware memory tagging enabled by GrapheneOS. They fixed a backport Broadcom Wi-Fi BCM4383 driver change Android 17 Beta 4 to avoid invalid memory access that didn't end up resolving the memory hardware tagging crashes introduced in the 2026 update of May, but we kept this fixed for additional issues. Disabled buggy upstream status bar notifications, and a list of critical high security vulnerabilities for the patch of July 2026, August 2026, September 2026, October, and November of 2026 from the Android Security Bulletin, and they're included in the security preview release. And I do recommend that you enable that, even though it's not open source, it's proprietary. They do release it once it's available to them, like they're allowed to, like available to the public. I would recommend, if you care about security, I would do this. I run on Alpha, by the way, the most bleeding edge of Android, and I don't run into, if at all, any issues. Barely any crashing, barely any software problems. And when they do, once the update comes, it kind of like fixes everything. So just to let you know, if you run stable, you'll probably have an even more enjoyable time. If you're waiting for the Motorola, I would just get a Pixel 9a if it's a price thing. And if you're going to do the Motorola, just let you know it is I believe their flagship devices, so it's not going to be any cheaper. If it's just because you don't want to support Google, whatever. But GrapheneOS also had a security vulnerability that pretty much didn't affect them that existed in the Linux space. If you know what copy fail is, it was a pretty nasty vulnerability. So GrapheneOS is immune to copy fail due to the deep integration of SE Linux and the Android open source project. ASOC Android open source project only permits using specific types of sockets through the OS. It only permits the dump state process used to create a bug report zip to access AF AGL sockets. SE Linux is based on the explicitly listing out everything that is permitted, and anything that's not listed isn't allowed to do. This is kind of the problem with Linux in general. SE Linux policies aren't enabled by default. You have to set them up yourself, and that could be kind of daunting. But because of GrapheneOS's, not even just GrapheneOS's, just Android's strict SE Linux policies, this also prevented this as well, because GrapheneOS is pretty much, it has the deep integration of the SE Linux policies in the Android open source project. So that's just another reason to go down the GrapheneOS rabbit hole if you are somewhat curious. And the last thing is GrapheneOS has released a new update that fixes a recently disclosed Android VPN bypass vulnerability capable of leaking users' real IP address. I will link all the information in the comments below, because I think people should just go read the information, absorb it, try to understand it. So Yusuf has a technical write-up of the vulnerability API that allows ordinary applications with only automatically generated internet access and access network state permissions to register arbitrary UDP payloads with system server. Pretty much, even if you have always on or block traffic, even with any VPN app, even Mulvads or whatever, you are vulnerable to it leaking your real IP address. I have always said that VPNs are a tool and you should never rely on them. You are transferring the trust to the VPN provider, and most importantly, you are somewhat if you believe that it's the silver bullet, you're somewhat making it, you're putting yourself in a dangerous situation where you are putting too much effort into the tool and not the OPSEC. But GrapheneOS has released a new update that fixes this pretty much thing that Google will not patch, by the way. They say it's not possible or something. But GrapheneOS says it is disabled to register Quick Connect closed payload optimization to fix the VPN leak, effectively neutralizing the attack vector on supported Pixel devices. That is just, the whole point. Definitely crazy that GrapheneOS will get these vulnerabilities handed to them and they just fix it. Like their response time is, immensible. Their response time is almost uncanny. It's crazy and very based. If this doesn't convince you to switch over to GrapheneOS, I don't know what will. I hope you guys do. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm going to be working on more stuff in the later. Make sure to comment below your favorite type of bread. If you don't, 100 years of bad luck. Later.